Hello trainers, how are you doing today? So, today I have a guest on my channel, Panfro, and we're gonna talk about Pokemon Unite moves tier list. So hey Panfro, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the channel. I'm really excited to talk about this Unite tier move list just because I feel like not a lot of people have done a tier list like this, and a lot has changed in the most recent patches. So I think this is a great refresher for all the trainers out there.
Yeah. Also very interested to talk about this, and we're also gonna have a video on your channel where we play some rank together, so make sure to check that out after this video. But without further ado, let's begin. First we got the Unite move for Lucario. So it's
Aura Cannon.
Aura Cannon to me, like on paper it sounds cool, you got this big sort of Hadouken style projectile coming out, but the issue with this is that it's not really like, the damage is kind of and when you look up Lucario's other abilities, like, I think this is the weakest chain in the bunch, like, I would even argue and put it on D tier. What do you think?
I completely agree. So the issue with this move is you can very easily move out of the way of this Unite move, as it does take a while to charge up and actually use. And if you're not hitting the enemy point blank with this Unite move, it's going to only hit twice instead of 4 times, so you're really reducing the damage output. And in all reality, I do think this move is probably D tier. It's Lucario's worst move. I mean, he needs a bad move, you know, because he's still one of the best Pokemon.
Yeah, so we can both agree it's on the D tier. It has some Nisei usages, but all around when you compare it to like other Unite moves, it's a D unfortunately. Next we have Machamp's Unite move,
Barrage Blow.
So, Barrage Blow. I do like this Unite move. It's a two-parter. First you activate this and you get that nice movement speed going on, and with the second press you do this barrage of punches, and it also has a crowd control implied to it. So I do really like this Unite move, and Machamp as a Pokemon right now, I think he's kind of underappreciated, but I would say somewhere in the A or B tier will be sufficient for Barrage Blow.
So I feel like Barrage Blow is Machamp's best move. What it does to its stats is pretty crazy. Attack by 30%, defense by 200, special defense by 200.
Yeah.
Makes Machamp an absolute tank. And then the amount of damage this move does is pretty crazy, as it hits 6 times, but it's doing 100% of Machamp's attack ratio, including the bonus of 30% on top of that. So it's really 130% of Machamp's attack times 6. So yeah, it does massive damage. It can take out entire teams if you line it up. I've seen Machamp take out a whole team of 5 in a bush right before Zapdos. It's pretty nutty, honestly. I do think this move is maybe like A tier, honestly. I think it's great.
Let's put it on A tier, and if we think otherwise in the somewhere down later in the line, we can just adjust it, but let's go with A for now. Next we have Greedent's Unite move. It's called Berry Belly Flop. Man, who comes with these names? They should get a raise. It's just so funny. Okay, so the Unite move itself is kind of basic. After a delay, he jumps into this specific direction and does AoE damage. However, after the Unite move ends, you have this infinite cooldowns on your ability. You can spam the Belch ability and you can do just a ton of damage with it, and it's super crazy. Like you can take neutral objectives fast, like Zapdos or Dreadnought with this, and the overall DPS is just crazy for a defender Pokemon. I would even argue that it's an S tier Unite move. It's so good.
So yeah, the current state of this move is crazy because the attack ratio is 241% of Greedent's attack, plus a raw 1050 damage. That is so crazy to me that this is a defender. How is this a defender alt move? This is like Blastoise's all like old Unite move. Like, this is so crazy to me. And when you combine it with Belch, it absolutely makes Greedent a monster right now. I mean, I personally think Greedent as a Pokemon is an A tier Pokemon, but I do think this Unite move is actually S tier in its current state.
Yeah, let's go with the S tier. I think it's very sufficient. Let's move on. Let's move on. We next have Cinderace's Unite move. It's called
Blazing Bicycle Kick.
With those creative names again. I do like Blazing Bicycle Kick. I know it's not the best Unite move in the game, but the stealing potential, for example, you can steal objectives like the Dreadnought and Zapdos and Ronan with this, and the AoE damage is really good. However, you can dodge this with battle items like Eject Button, so there is some counterplay to it, but I don't think it's like a super trash Unite move, but I don't also think it's like the top tier Unite move. Somewhere in the mid tier, maybe B or C tier, in my opinion, will be sufficient.
I have to disagree here. I think this Unite move is insanely OP.
Really?
Okay, one, this move has a natural execute on it. It does damage based on 14% of the enemy's missing HP. That's already crazy, and the damage of it is 247% of Cinderace's attack. Cinderace's attack is one of the highest in the game, and when you're building Cinderace, you are building all attack items, so that's going to be additionally higher. And this move also applies extra stacks of Cinders as well on top, and the Cinders apply even more damage. I think the big thing about this move is it's a sure hit move, so yeah, you can counterplay it with eject button, but for ejectives and other things like that, it's so devastating. It's one of the best moves for stealing. The range is really far as well.
True.
The cooldown's not too bad at 150 seconds as well. And overall, I think this move is just a great get out of jail card for Cinderace. I would put this move personally in A tier. I think it's just super strong, but you know, if you want to put it in B, that's all good too. But I think this move is one of the reasons why Cinderace is currently, in my opinion, the best Pokemon in the game.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best Pokemon in the game. I do agree with that, and we can do a little compromise. Let's put it on the low A tier.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
That's totally fine. Next we have Blissey's Unite move.
Bliss assistance.
So, okay, this is an interesting one. Like you dash to an ally and give it an egg and it grants you a shield and increase their attack speed and special attack for a short time. I do like this, and it's a very fitting Unite move for support side of Pokemon. And from the tier list standpoint, I'm not actually really sure where I would put this because I haven't played Blissey myself. Same goes with Eldegoss, but I still think it's a great Unite move. But if I had to give it a hunch, maybe somewhere in the A or B tier. What do you think?
Ooh, I'm low on this one. So I do play Blissey. I think this Unite move is sort of weak. So my issue with Unite move is you're only saving one Pokemon. And when I compare it to Pokemon like Wigglytuff, who gives everyone on the team a shield, I just think this is just a straight downgrade because it's only one Pokemon on the team getting a shield. And the damage on this move is very awful because it only damages Pokemon that are in between you and the Pokemon you're shielding. So the damage is sort of like, doesn't matter, right? Like, because it's hard to coordinate that in the middle of a team fight for sure. The shield is big at 300% of Blissey's special attack, so it is pretty nice. And the person you're shielding does get a 20% boost to their attack and special attack, which is solid overall. I think it's overall an average Unite move. I wish this was more team focused like the rest of Blissey's kit instead of just a single target.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Where would you put this in the tier list?
I really think it's like C tier.
Okay, we can go with the C. And I do agree, like, if you compare this to Wigglytuff, who has that AoE potential in her Unite move, this is, like you said, a straight up a downgrade. So let's go with C. I think that's a sufficient choice. Next we have Eldegoss.
Cotton Cloud Crash.
So I do like this Unite move. You float into air, you come invisible, and when you stomp back to the ground, you do this as sort of a knock-up thing. And you can really displace enemies or split them up if this is used efficiently. And it's a really good overall Unite move. I do like it. From a tier list standpoint, I would even say A tier.
Yeah, so Cotton Cloud Crash is actually incredibly good because the damage ratio is super high, and I have experienced many Eldegosses stealing Zapdoses and Dreadnoughts with this ability. And it's AoE damage, but the better thing about this is it also not only does damage, but it also heals your team for 306% of Eldegoss's special attack stat. That's a big heal, especially in a team fight. I honestly think this ability is probably falls into like the A tier. I mean, there's a reason why Eldegoss is known for being the best support in the game right now and used on all the pro teams.
Yeah, true. Where would you put it? At the top of A tier?
I think top of A tier.
Yeah, let's go with that. Next we have Sylveon's Unite move.
Fairy Frolic.
I don't think it's like a S tier Unite move. You do this like a floaty jump and then you just come back down. It's sort of like a get out of jail free card, as you mentioned with the Cinderace. I think this Unite move has similar vibes to it. It's not super dominating, but I don't think it's like the worst thing either. But somewhere maybe in the B or C tier, I think would be appropriate.
Yeah, so this Unite move is pretty interesting. Pretty much makes Sylveon unkillable because you're getting a lot of Spell Vamp, which is lifesteal based on your damage. So 50% of the damage dealt by Sylveon is converted to HP, which is really good considering something like Hyper Voice where you're constantly doing damage and hitting opponents. So I think this move is actually really strong. The best thing about this move is actually you get it at level 8, which is pretty massive.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Easy to get it at level 8. I would put this in B tier though. I think it's good. It used to be better when Sylveon was broken. But
yeah, when she got released, yeah.
But after the nerf to the general attack damage from Sylveon, I think it goes into B tier. It's really good. It's just that Sylveon isn't as strong as they were before, but you can't go wrong with this move. So yeah, I think B is pretty solid.
Yeah, let's go with B tier. I think that's a good place to put that one. Next we have Gardevoir's
Fairy Singularity.
I do like this Unite move. It reminds me of Overwatch's ultimate, the Zarya's one, where you pull in this gravitational pull, you pull enemies into one spot. And this has a really good potential to wipe out the enemy team. If you can land this Unite move perfectly, you can just wipe out so many people with it. And you can also combine other abilities to this crowd control, like the Gardevoir's own abilities, and as well as some of the allies. It's a really good Unite move and somewhat underappreciated in my opinion. I would even put this on the S tier. What do you think?
This Unite move is the only reason why people should play Gardevoir.
True.
This move is carrying Gardevoir super hard because yeah, this move is phenomenal. Your mileage will vary based on how well you can land this move though. It's all about placement, and the best time to use this Unite move is at objectives like Dreadnought, Zapdos, Rotom when there's a lot of opponents, because you need to maximize pulling everyone into the circle and doing damage. The ratios is actually pretty low from this move, but the fact is they're all stuck in one place, so you and your teammates can really take advantage of this and hit them with all your other moves and take them out. I think this move is an A tier move. I argue against S because the damage from the move itself isn't that crazy, but the setup ability is crazy. So it depends on comp, you know.
Do you think it's better or worse than the Eldegoss Unite move?
I think Eldegoss is better. I think it's better than Machamp.
Okay. Okay, so we put it on the between here. Let's go. That's totally fine.
And honestly, Eldegoss could, in my opinion, could be S tier. Like that's sort of where I'm at when I'm really thinking about it. It's just so good, that healing. So, but we can always change it around later.
Yeah, sure. Next we have Talonflame's Unite move. It's called Flame Sweep. I love this Unite move, and also the fact you can get this Unite move recharged so fast. And the potential with this Unite move is so freaking good. You can AoE crowd control a lot of enemy Pokemon with this, and the pushback is the distance is so long that you can just displace enemies with it so well. You can combine other things, like you can use this Unite move and then just fly and slap these enemies, and like it has like infinite possibilities if you can be creative with this. My favorite place to Unite move is the Zapdos corridor. It's just so tight and it just fits there perfectly, and I just think it's very solid. And the fact this one recharges so fast, I would actually put this on the S tier.
I agree. I think it's S tier. It's a very simple move, but it's so good because, I mean, mostly because the recharge rate is... The more Unite moves you can get off is the more fights you can potentially win. And the cool thing about this move is, like, you can move your opponents. So there's a lot of clutch times where you can, like, move opponents away from a goal so your teammates can score and win the game. There's just a lot of different, like, versatility you can use with Flame Sweep. So, yeah, I think it's S tier.
Yeah, let's go with S tier. Do you think it's better or worse than the Greedent Unite?
Oh, that's tough. I think Greedent Unite's honestly better because...
because of the infinite spamming.
Yeah, so they're gonna nerf it. There's no way to keep it like that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Then we have Cramorant's Unite move. It's called, and this is one of my favorite names,
Gatling, Gulp.
Missa. Like, whoever came up with that name should really get a raise. I just love it. It's so funny. But yeah, they nerfed this Unite move in, I think it was patch 1.2, but I still think it's a very solid Unite move. You can do a lot of damage with this, and you can also zone people out of it, but still, I don't think it's the best Unite move in the game. I think somewhere in the low A tier will be sufficient with this.
Yeah, I agree with low A tier. I think this Unite move is actually like the main reason why people would play Cramorant, because the area is so big on it, and you have some tech with it. You can always eject button while using the ability, so you can try to catch people who run out of range. So there is a lot of playability with Gulp Missile. The damage is great. You can get pentakills with this if the opponents are low enough as well. You can steal objectives with it. I really like this move, honestly. I think low A is a fair place to put it, because it does hit 10 times.
Yeah, but I still think it's better than the Cinderace Unite. Maybe even better than the Machamps, but we can put it... Would you compromise putting it between the Machamps and the Cinderace Unite?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go that. Next we have Blastoise's Unite move,
Hydro Typhoon.
I do love this Unite move. It's such a good AoE. You can also knock up enemies with it. You can also ease in your allies to try steal objectives like Zapdos with this because of the crowd control it gives. And the base damage is still pretty good on this one. And you can also do those tricky movement techs that you can like activate this Unite move, then press eject button to have that little surprise factor in it. So a lot of great possibilities, and it's really, really solid. Somewhere in the A tier, I think it's justified.
I think it's high A or even S tier personally. This move, even after the nerfs, is still good. The damage is still really high. The fact that it knocks up all the opponents in the circle, and Blastoise is naturally tanky, and you're going to have Buddy Barrier on Blastoise too. So this is just going to extend the fight for you, and it can easily win team fight. This is a team fight winning move. This is an objective stealing move. It's honestly like why you're going to be playing Blastoise, is like this Unite move is so clutch. So I would argue high A or even S tier for this.
Let's go with low S tier. And you were talking about Eldegoss earlier. Do you think if we put this guy on the S tier, like, do you think it's better or worse than the Blastoise Unite?
I'm really high on Eldegoss, honestly. I think Eldegoss should be S. Is it better in Blastoise?
That's tough. I mean,
a full team heal is very good though.
Yeah.
So that's...
Let's put it here.
I like that.
That's a good compromise. Yeah, let's go with that. All right. Next we have
Garchomp's Unite move,
Livid Outrage. This is what makes Garchomp really scary, especially in a Zapdos fight. If you have an enemy Garchomp who has this Unite move ready, you can do so much havoc and devastation with this. It's more on the trickier side to execute, because it's like a multi-part, there's 5 different hits. But if you can land this Unite move consistently and use it at the right time, you can really get a lot of potential with this. I think somewhere in the A tier would be sufficient for this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking low A or high B personally. I'm not too hype on this move overall because I think that it is hard to land. I will say that. It is not the easiest move to land. It is 5 hits. Yeah, all the hits are massive. Hits 3 to 5 do more damage than the first 2 hits. And you do take 30% less damage, which is really great as Garchomp. Your last hit does have a knock-up. I do think it's good, but I think the issue is you got to play Garchomp, and it's sort of I don't know, it's different than Gardevoir's, where I think Gardevoir is like, it's sort of worth playing Gardevoir for this Unite move, but I don't think it's worth playing Garchomp for this Unite move. I do think this is probably high B or low A though. It is a good move. It is hard to land. You're gonna have to practice this move for sure, because it's not like, oh, I can just attack 5 times, I'm gonna hit the opponent 5 times. Like, you got to be a little bit more methodical with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It requires that trial and error to really get that max utilization out of this Unite move. I definitely agree with this. I can compromise. Let's go with high B. Then we have Mamoswine's
Mammoth Mash.
I'm not a huge fan of this Unite move. It does those 4 stomps. You're immune to hindrances, and you also decrease their movement speed for a short time, with each stomp, and the final stomp throws enemies in the air. On paper, I do like this. It has that very Mammoth vibe in it, but as a Unite move, I think there are just better options in the game.
Yeah, this Unite move is sort of lackluster. It's easy to use. It does make you immune to hindrances. The damage isn't too great overall. The final stomp is like why you're using this move, because it does 204% of your attack, and it also knocks up all of the enemies in the air. It feels like a worse Blastoise all at the end of the day to me, and the damage just ends up being less too. I think this is C tier. I think it's okay. Like, it does decent damage. It does have a good knockup. You can steal objectives with this, but I think it's okay.
Do you think it's better or worse than the Blissey's Unite?
I think it's worse than Blissey.
Yeah, it's really iffy. I'm sorry, Mamoswine, but you're going to C tier. Next we have Absol's Unite move,
Midnight Slash.
It's an interesting one. You become untargetable during this move, but the thing is that this is also very easy to dodge, so you should have ideally like some sort of crowd control on the enemy, so you could like combo that with this. But I don't know, man. It's very iffy for me. I'm not a huge fan of this Unite move. I think it's somewhere in the middle side of things.
Yeah, I think this is probably B tier, just because it hits a lot, it does a lot of damage, and it deals increased damage shoving enemies too. So there is some movement to it. I mean, 91% of Absol's attack is really good, and then the final hit is 3 hits. So, I mean, that's pretty good overall. I mean, it's just the issue of Absol is, like, as you mentioned, you can just, 1, escape this pretty easily, or 2, you can sort of use crowd control and lock down Absol, which is Absol's general problems. I'm sort of thinking high C or low B. It's sort of like the antithesis of Absol, where it's like, it's really good if you're like carrying, but if you're behind, this Unite move's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, let's go with low B, because when you can actually hit this, it does surprisingly a lot of damage. But the execution part is hard, because you can just easily dodge this with most of the Pokemon, so it's kind of like a hit or miss situation, so I think B is sufficient. Next we have Gengar's Unite move.
Phantom Ambush.
I do like this. For a ghost type Pokemon, I do love this concept that you go sneaky beaky like, and then you just surprise someone with this jump thing. But as a Unite move, I mean, Gengar has been so weak for such a long time, so I don't know, man. I'm feeling very iffy about this whole Pokemon, unfortunately, even despite the fact it's one of my favorites, like Pikachu, like, but they're just not as viable as compared to some others.
Yeah.
I would even say C tier for this.
I mean, okay, so Gengar's just not good, but I think this move's decent because it does turn you, you're untargetable, you get increased movement speed, you're invisible, you do a lot of damage, and Gengar does have high special attack. This is doing 263% of your special attack damage. On paper, this move is like really strong. I think the issue with this move is it's similar to Absol, where it's like if you're carrying, if you're doing great, yeah, this move's gonna feel wonderful. But if you're behind a few levels, this is not gonna do much for you, and it ends up being worse than Absol's for sure. I'm thinking low C. I don't know, it's not D tier, because if they buff Gengar as a character, this move is a lot better, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to land. That's the beauty. Like, you just use it. It's easy to go up to an enemy and hit them. So like, I think the usability is there, but I just don't think Gengar is there.
Not unfortunately. I think low C tier is justified. You're fine with this placement?
Yeah,
let's go with that. Moving on, we got Zeraora's
Plasma Gale.
This is a very scary one. First of all, the base damage of this lightning strike is really strong. It also creates this temporary area of lightning, and the basic attacks will be boosted inside this area. This is one scary Unite move, but where do I want to rank this? I'm not actually sure. Maybe A tier?
I'll put this on S tier. So I think the big thing we got to talk about is this is a sure hit move. This move does not miss. You can't flash out of this, as this locks onto a Pokemon and doesn't land on an area. It lands on that Pokemon. So you're hitting someone no matter what, which is a big increase in Cinderace's for sure. And it's 248% of Zeraora's attack. Zeraora has an insanely high attack. And when you're attacking in the circle, your basic attack damage goes up by 20%, which is huge because Zeraora has high crit. So it's honestly a crazy move when you use this at a Dreadnought or a Zapdos. I really think this is an S tier move. It's just, honestly, I would put this above Talonflame, not even kidding. I really am high on Plasma Gale. I think Talonflame is a better Pokemon per se for jungle, but I think Zeraora has a better Unite move.
It's an interesting one because I really don't agree with this, but I could compromise for lowest tier for this.
We can put
and I want to correct one thing. You can dodge, at least with Cinderace's feint, you can dodge the initial burst damage of this Unite move, but you have to time it really well.
Yeah, but if you're using feint, you probably lost the game.
Yeah, Flame Charge is really good right now. Just wanted to point that out still, but let's go with lowest tier. I think that's fine. We got Snorlax's
Power Nap.
It's an interesting one. You regenerate a lot of HP. You can also postpone those fights, and has that baiting potential as well. Like, you think like, oh, we're gonna get this Snorlax. Oh snap, he's gonna Unite move and regenerate a lot of that HP. It's a very interesting one and sort of unique on its own right. Maybe somewhere in the A or B tier.
I'm thinking lower. I'm thinking B or C. This move used to be way better, but then they nerfed the recovery of this move.
Oh, yeah, true. Now that you mentioned it, you're actually right. True.
So yeah, Snorlax doesn't get 100% of the health anymore, which is, I thought it was broken before because Snorlax used to be able just to literally use it and come back to 100% health. Now is not the case anymore. And I think they actually lowered the damage a little bit too. So you're not really using this for the damage. You're using this just for survivability, which is fine. That's what Snorlax wants. I mean, the reason why you're using Snorlax is for your other abilities, and this just gives you a little bit more sustain in your fight. Overall, it's better than Mamoswine's ult for sure, as you do sort of comparable damage compared to Mamoswine when you add everything up together, but you're also getting a lot of your life back. The thing I like about this is an AoE that opponents sort of have to respect, because if they're just sitting in that AoE and they're attacking you, you're not going to really take out the Snorlax, and they're going to be taking damage for no reason. So it's an area of denial, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I think it's good when you put this on like an objective like a Zapdos or Dreadnought, as it will force opponents to get away from those objectives and you can be able to capitalize on them as a team. So I think maybe this actually goes in B tier after talking about it. I think B, somewhere in B tier is fine.
But where would you want it in the B tier?
Higher than Garchomp. I'm really low on Garchomp though.
Okay, let's put it on top of the B tier. I think that's a fine place to put it. Let's go with that. All right. Next we have Crustle's
Rubble Rouser.
So you get a shield, some HP, and it leaves your nearby enemies unable to act. It's a very interesting one if you use like a score shield. You can stack up those shields and really get those points somewhat easily. But from a impact standpoint, other than the scoring thing, I think it's iffy. I don't still think it's a trash Unite move, but I don't also think it's like the God tier of Unite moves. So maybe somewhere in the low A tier, B tier.
Oh, I'm so low on this. I'm like C tier, man. So here's my issue with this move.
Okay.
This is such a selfish move. I don't like a move like this on a defender. Yeah. But Crustle players are also selfish in my opinion. So like what this move does is like, okay, it gives you more damage. You don't really have a lot of damage on Crustle in general. You also get a damage aura. So you get an AoE surrounding you, which is 40% of your attack, which is actually pretty solid. The big thing about this move is though, it gives you a shield that is 40% of your max HP plus 600 HP, which is pretty big. It makes Crustle unkillable. So if your goal of Crustle is to be unkillable and score goals, then yeah, this is great for you. And that's where a lot of Crustle players end up going. As a Unite move that can help the team and win objectives, I don't really see it doing that. I mean, there's a Stealth Rocks is the move in Crustle's kit that does that, but I could see myself putting this in C or low B. It's really good at making Crustle unkillable, but that's sort of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's sort of selfish. I mean, the game's Pokemon Unite, not Pokemon YOLO. Like, it kind of breaks that formula there, but it has its usages, like the scoring thing is really powerful. I'm iffing between low B and high C. I'll let you decide.
I'm putting C tier.
Let's go high C tier. Crustle, why you have to be so selfish? Okay, moving on. We got Charizard's
Seismic Slam.
I do like this Unite move, especially the fact that they did some changes to this in the mobile patch, the 1.2. Now when you activate this, it throws the enemy in the air and then you do the flame bursts in the air. And you can do a lot of damage with this Unite move. You kind of feel like a god when you're using this. And I think it still does. Charizard as a Pokemon is on the mid-tier side of things, but this Unite move in particular, I think it's still very, very strong.
So Seismic Slam is like the reason why people would play Charizard at this point. This move's insane. I think it's actually an insane Unite move, and I think it probably goes into A tier because the most important part, the damage is great. The slam damage is 307% of Charizard's attack, and the burning is pretty good as it hit 5 times with 20% of attack. But the big thing is you recover 80% of your HP from the damage dealt. That's huge. This essentially makes Charizard unkillable, and he's killing you. So if you're 1v1ing Charizard, you will pretty much always lose in that case, which is why I like it. It's so good. So I think A tier maybe.
Where do we want to put this on the A tier?
Probably below Gardevoir.
Yeah. I think this is a fine compromise.
Yeah.
The icons do match as well, so it looks nice.
Exactly.
With the similar coloring, we have a 4 pattern here. Ooh. Then we have Showtime, Mr. Mime's Unite move. If you're against a good Mr. Mime, and he just comes and does those mini stuns and the damage over time this does. This Unite move can be very, very annoying, and with the right usage, I think it's really, really strong. Somewhere in the A tier, I think is justified.
Yeah, I'm thinking high B or low A. It's I mean, the damage is not too great until the last hit, which is 176% of the special attack. It's very annoying. That's correct. It is an incredibly annoying move to face against. I mean, you're stunning them, like, you could really interrupt a lot of moves. So, actually, I think low A tier could be solid for this move, as it allows Mr. Mime to just run into a team and just really disrupt their game plan.
Let's put it on A tier. I'm just iffing between whether this is better or the Cinderace Unite move.
I think it's worse than Cinderace.
Yeah, okay, let's put it on the low A tier. I think that's fine. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy Cinderace Unite move, but it's very hit or miss in a sense. But yeah, I think this is a fine compromise. Next we have
Slow Beam from Slowbro.
This is really, really strong Unite move. It's unique in a sense that it's sort of a suppression, a hard CC. You can't get out of this, even with full heal, you can't get out of this. Even with the Blissey's utilities, you can't get out of this. You use this Unite move to someone and you will stick in that CC. So that makes it super, super strong, and you can just shut down anyone who's in your path. And with that sense, I would even say that Slow Beam is on the S tier.
I think it's S tier straight up. I'm a Slowbro main, so I'm definitely biased, but I'll say this. There is no move in the game that roots an opponent. Like, you cannot escape. No one can save you. The only thing that can save you is if someone kills Slowbro doing this.
Yes, correct.
Like, that's the only way you escape. And that's pretty hard to do because Slowbro is really tanky. And Slowbro does get a shield that is equal to 40% of his max health plus 600 HP. So it's going to make it really hard. And more importantly, Slowbro is also immune to any hindrances. So you can't stun him out of this either. So yeah, I think this is an S tier move. I really think this probably goes above the Zeraora at the very least, and maybe above the Blastoise.
But where in the S tier? That's the tricky dicky question we have. Where do we want to put this?
I think over Zeraora for sure. Is it over Blastoise? Let's just put it over Zeraora, because I think Blastoise has the utility of the team fight aspect to it.
Yeah. I can agree with this. I think it's a fine placement, but definitely an S tier, no doubt. Next we have
Snow Globe
from Alola Ninetales. This is very basic Unite move. After a certain delay, you do this AoE blast and it does damage. It doesn't crowd control you anyhow. It's a fat okay for me. Maybe B tier, high C tier. It doesn't have any like big oomph to it in my opinion.
I'm gonna be controversial. I think it's D tier.
Ooh.
I think it's D tier.
Ooh.
So I used to main Alola Ninetales, and used to is the keyword. The issue of Alola Ninetales is this move only does damage. But yeah, it does bonus damage if the opponent's frozen. How many times have you hit this move when the opponent's actually frozen? Very rarely.
Yeah, kind of
very
never, so.
rarely.
Yeah.
And the damage from unfrozen to frozen is a massive drop. It looks like to be what, 100% drop or something like that, but including like the raw damage as well. It's really just like, if you can freeze them, it's great. But the issue is Ninetales, you can freeze them for a second, but you're gonna freeze one Pokemon for a second, and then you gotta immediately react to your own freezing. Sure, it's a little bit better if you get Mamoswine on your team too for another freeze potential, but that's a very specific comp, and I just think this Ninetales needs a buff. Straight up, we need buffs on all these moves.
Do you really think it's even worse than the Gengar's Unite?
Yes, because at least Gengar can use it for more than just doing damage. Gengar goes invisible, can run away, gives the movement speed increase. It does a lot of damage. There's no qualifiers on that damage either. Well, Ninetales just does damage, and there's a massive qualifier on that, and it's actually a pretty hard qualifier to land.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of like your statement here, and I can actually compromise. We can put it on the D tier, but I don't think it's worse than Lucario's Unite.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Lucario's, because Lucario you can literally just not hit.
And these two icons look nice together, so I think this was fate anyway. So next we have Wigglytuff's Starlight Recital. How do you pronounce that? Recital? Is that
Starlight Recital?
Oh, it's like a better version of the Blissey's Unite move, as we aforementioned talked about when we had the Blissey on the speech. But yeah, I do like this Unite move. It also gives them crowd control immunity, which makes this really good on those big team fights, especially the Zapdos one. So it's definitely one of the better defensive Unite moves in the game. I would even put this on the S tier.
Yeah, Starlight Recital is absolutely an S tier move. I mean, the fact that it gives your whole team at like a team fight like Zapdos or Dreadnought a shield that's 150% of the special attack of Wigglytuff. Of course, you're stacking this on top of Buddy Barrier as well, so someone's gonna get another boosted shield, and it also makes it so your team has been cured of their status conditions and they are immune to hindrances for a short time as well. That's game winning. That is a game winning ultimate. I think this actually, man, this is high S. This is really high S tier. Okay, I could make an argument that this could be the best Unite move in the game.
Yeah, could be, very possibly. It's really hard to rank the S tier because all of these Unite moves in the S tier are so goddamn solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could compromise. It's sometimes the defense can be the best offense, and with that statement, let's put it on the top.
Yeah, I don't want to see Greedent up there anymore.
Let's go. Yeah, that's fair. Guys, we got 3 more left. Next we have Pikachu, my favorite Pokemon.
Thunderstorm.
I like this Unite move on paper, but it's so sadly weak. It kind of reminds me of Kennen's ultimate from League of Legends, with that AoE lightning strikes coming up. It's very iffy. I think somewhere in the C tier maybe could be sufficient.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about this move. It's definitely C tier. I mean, the damage is only 49% of Pikachu's special attack, which is already very low in general. It only hits 4 times. It doesn't do much. It's a very vanilla move. It's very beginner friendly as they made Pikachu in this game. So I think it's low C. I think it's worse than Gengar.
Yeah, it's very bad, but I'm not sure where in the C tier, but we can put it on the low C tier. Sorry Pikachu, I really like you, but you kind of suck in Unite, so sorry. Then we have Venusaur's
Verdant Anger.
This is a tricky dicky one to pull off because first you have the initial bomb and then it splits to 4 parts. You can really screw this one up, but you can also, if you're successful with this, you can also do a lot of damage. So it's kind of a tricky dicky version of the Cinderace's Unite move, and quite honestly I'm not very sure where to rank this. If I would have to choose, maybe somewhere in the B tier.
I think it's A tier. I think Venusaur is so good right now, and I mean 131% of your special attack on the initial hit plus a raw 1080 is really strong. What I like about this move is that it's aimable and it does have a really far distance, so you can use this to steal objectives as well. And the secondary hit, as it breaks up into 4 different parts, each do 65% of Venusaur special attack plus 540 damage, which is actually pretty sizable. So the circumstance you would probably use this in is when you're doing a team fight like a Dreadnought or Zapdos or Rotom. You would want to just hit into the very center of the team fight with the main move, and then the Pokemon surrounding the team fight would probably get hit by the 4 other seats. So I think the damage is really strong. It just really makes Venusaur, I don't know, it just gives him more range utility, which is what Venusaur is good at, as he already has Solar Beam, but you're not gonna have Solar Beam up all the time, and the raw damage on this is higher than Solar Beam. So I think it's A tier.
You definitely have a point there. Yeah, where would you put it in the A tier?
Oh, I think it's higher than Mime. It's lower than Cinderace.
It does have a really good damage, but it's very tricky dicky sometimes to execute and get the max potential out of this. That's my only concern. With Cinderace, it's more straightforward. You just press the button and it'll shoot the fireball thing. But yeah, it's still a good Unite move nonetheless. Last but definitely not least, we got Greninja's
Water Burst Shuriken.
First, when I started playing this game, I didn't like this Unite move, but after getting some hang of it and playing some more games with Greninja, I really started to like it. It does a 2-parter damage and also gives you mobility, which is very important for a carry type of Pokemon like Greninja. And I think it very, very well fits his kit overall.
Yeah, Greninja's Unite move to me personally feels like a worse Cinderace Unite move.
Okay.
So I think it's either low A or high B. The damage is really good on it for sure, but it's an aimable move, and the move isn't the fastest. The range isn't the biggest either. It does hit twice, so it does deal damage on the way to the target, and then it does damage when it hits the target and it explodes, and it lowers everyone's movement speed as well, which is pretty good. It is a pretty decently sized AoE. It reminds me of Cinderace Venusaur, but I would maybe it is A tier. Yeah, but I would definitely think it's B under Cinderace and Venusaur.
Okay, let's compromise putting it on the low A tier. It's sort of like you have to commit with this Unite move. When you go in, you have to actually go in, because you physically enter into the battle. With Cinderace and Venusaur, you can just press the button from a distance and still keep that distance. With this, you really have to commit in. So that's the iffy part of it. Sometimes it's worth it and it's actually better, but sometimes you can just get yourself in a very bad position. But when used correctly, I still think it's a very, very good Unite move. So I think low 8s here is sufficient.
All right, yeah, I mean, there we go. That's our Unite tier list. This was really fun, honestly, making this tier list. I'm sort of surprised where some of these ended up, but it all makes sense to me, though. How do you feel about this tier list?
Yeah, I do agree. I really like where the Unite moves went, and I think it's a very, very accurate list. I know there's some debate with some Unite moves, and let me know down in the comments if you disagree with some of the picks, because I'm very curious to know what do you guys think about these different Unite moves in the game. Thank you so much, Panfro, for joining with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the channel. It was really cool being here for the first time. Hopefully do more stuff in the future. If you want to check out my channel, just check out Panfro Games, and I have Unite content as well, and definitely subscribe to both of us. That would be phenomenal.
I'll have the links down in the below for Panfro's channel, and also make sure to check out the part 2 of this collaboration. We're gonna play some rank together. But that's it gonna be for today. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up will be appreciated. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.